Final adjustments for bulk summoning. Joel, while praising Xylos's magnificence, was already mentally calculating. The single summoned soul was impressive, but for true efficiency and to balance Viridia, they needed bulk. He subtly began to manipulate the holographic interface on the Sulad 1000C, making adjustments. Goddess Xylos, that was indeed a spectacular demonstration. Joel infused, clapping his translucent hands together with feigned wonder. Such precision! Such divine efficiency! And now, to truly harness your boundless power, I have made some final adjustments for bulk summoning. He pointed to a segment of the control panel that now displayed a numerical counter. I've configured the system, Goddess, for batches of 500 souls at a time. The machine, in its awe-inspiring capacity, could handle thousands, even tens of thousands, in a single go. However, Joel added, lowering his voice conspiratorially, I've learned from my humble observations that even the most blessed souls can be bewildered when faced with such overwhelming numbers immediately. A gentler, more structured arrival in batches of 500 would allow them to better appreciate their new existence and your glorious benevolence, rather than being simply overcome by sheer volume. Xylos preened, nodding thoughtfully. Yes, an excellent point, little soul. One must consider the delicate sensibilities of the mortal spirit. Too much glory all at once can indeed be disorienting. 500 it is. A perfectly reasonable and utterly divine quantity. And furthermore, Goddess, Joel continued, guiding her gaze to another section of the interface, to ensure the perfect harmony and stability of your beloved world, I have implemented an option for the newly arriving souls. They may now choose from an available family within Viridia, selecting a lineage that resonates with their destined gifts and aspirations. A list of family names, some glowing faintly, others marked available, appeared on the screen. Or, he added, for those who wish to fully embrace the mystery of your divine plan, they can opt for a random family selection. This, Goddess, will ensure the demographics are naturally and perfectly balanced, avoiding any undue concentration of talents or lineages in one region, ensuring Viridia thrives with a perfect, diverse populace guided by your invisible hand. Joel explained, this system allows for a truly dynamic reincarnation process. Instead of simply pushing souls into existence, they can now choose their initial path, further affirming your benevolent control over their destinies. Xylos's golden eyes widened even further. She looked at the display, then back at Joel, her lips, red as rose petals, twitching with genuine delight this time. They choose? And it balances the demographics for me? This is truly inspired, little soul. Your mind, though human, possesses an intriguing understanding of divine efficiency. Yes, this is magnificent. My glory will be even more evident when my world thrives with such perfect balance. She then swelled with renewed power, absorbing Joel's explanation as if it were pure, concentrated worship. Her smile was grand, self-satisfied, and profoundly pleased. What new grand demonstration will Xylos demand now that the automated bulk summoning and reincarnation systems are in place? Xylos's angels, a question of individuality. Now that the bulk summoning and reincarnation systems were fully operational, at least from Xylos's perspective, Joel glanced around the bustling north gate. Numerous ethereal beings, Xylos's angels, moved about with purpose, tending to the various stations. They were beautiful, exquisitely so, with flowing forms and elegant wings that reminded Joel of Egyptian cherubs, not necessarily what he'd learned in Sunday school, but rather from his post-Sunday school research into the origins of different religions and their iconography. Yet, despite their beauty, there was a startling uniformity to them. They all seemed to share Xylos's perfect features, though they lacked her provocative toga or sexy appearance, instead looking more like nuns or wearing a Mother Teresa style of modest, flowing robes. How does she tell them apart? Joel wondered, keeping his thoughts carefully shielded. The question, however, slipped past his feigned cluelessness and onto his lips. Goddess Xylos, Joel asked, tilting his head slightly, your angels are truly magnificent. But, how do you tell them apart? They are all so perfectly beautiful, it must be quite the challenge for even a divine being to distinguish between them. Xylos looked at Joel, a flicker of genuine bewilderment in her golden eyes. Her lips, red as a blooming rose, parted slightly. Tell them apart? Why ever would I have difficulty with that, little soul? She seemed genuinely confused by his question. Then, with a dismissive wave of her hand, she pointed to a nearby angel diligently polishing a glowing console. You there, she commanded, her voice ringing with casual authority. The angel immediately snapped to attention. Go, retrieve the crystalline scrolls from the Eastern archives. And you there, she pointed to another angel hovering near the Mirror of Souls, prepare the next batch of soul signatures for processing. This angel, too, moved instantly to obey. Xylos then turned back to Joel, a smug smile returning to her face. See, little soul? That is how I tell them apart. By their tasks, by their divine assignments. It is quite simple, really. The alluring power of praise. Of course, Joel inwardly mused, maintaining his blank, impressed expression. She's placed some sort of marker on them, probably one only she can perceive. Or perhaps it's tied to their function, their divine assignment. Only a goddess could keep track of identical, perfectly beautiful beings like that. To avoid any further missteps, he quickly shifted back to what he knew worked. Ah, Goddess Xylos! Joel exclaimed, his voice rising in fervent admiration, carefully crafting his words to rhyme in his head as if composing a divine poem. Your insight, so keen and so bright, pierces through illusion with glorious might. Your eyes, like twin suns in the celestial night, mark each servant with truth, shining ever so light. Such wisdom and power, from your divine grace, sets each angel uniquely in her rightful place. Truly, no other being could wield such a gaze. A wave of palpable energy washed over them, stronger than any before. Xylos gasped, her golden eyes widening. Her form shimmered, and from her back, two magnificent, feathered wings unfurled, beating gently, stirring the golden air around them. They were ethereal, glowing with an inner light that mirrored her own radiant beauty. She was utterly transformed, bathed in the raw, potent surge of power his words had generated. Little soul, Xylos breathed, her voice now deeper, more resonant, filled with an almost intoxicating sense of power. Her lips, red as a rose, curved into a triumphant, possessive smile. You are truly a marvel. Your words, they are more invigorating than 1,000 sacrificed souls. This is a new level of glorification. She looked at him, her gaze intense, and Joel felt a prickle of unease. Come now, she commanded, her voice unwavering but with a new, alluring insistence. You have seen my automated marvels, witnessed my divine wisdom. It is time for your journey. You shall be summoned to Viridia. It is the most direct path to experience my glory firsthand. Joel's internal shields almost crumbled. Summoned? No, Suled warned me about that. Direct gifts, directly taken away. But he couldn't show his panic. He had to pivot, and quickly. He took a daring step, reaching out and gently taking Xylos's outstretched hand, the one she had previously offered as part of her theatrical displays. He lifted it to his lips, planting a soft, reverent kiss on her porcelain skin. Xylos visibly recoiled, a jolt of what felt like pure electricity passing between them, and she snatched her hand back, her golden eyes wide with shock. Joel, ignoring her reaction for a moment, pleaded earnestly, Oh, Goddess Xylos. To be summoned directly by your glorious hand would be the greatest honor. But, if I am to truly be your brightest creation, a beacon of your boundless glory in Viridia, should I not follow the path that allows me to magnify your name even more? If I am sent by reincarnation, my growth, my powers, will be a testament to the very essence of your cosmos, a blossoming from the fabric you created. This humble soul would then, with every deed, every success, prove the limitless perfection of your universe, rather than merely reflecting a direct gift. This would magnify your name, Goddess, beyond measure. He squeezed his non-existent eyes shut in a show of fervent devotion. Xylos's face, red as a blooming rose, contorted in a mixture of confusion and scorn. Insolent! How dare he refuse me? And that kiss. What was that sensation? Like a woman scorned, she began to retort, her voice sharp. How dare you question my methods, little soul? Do you suggest my direct blessings are somehow inferior? And that utterly inappropriate familiarity. What was the meaning of that uncalled-for contact? But even as she spoke, a profound, undeniable compulsion seized her. It was the irresistible will of the divine counsel, a curse and an obligation simultaneously. The steely, judging gaze of Anito, the god of compliance, could almost be felt from a distance, pressing down on Xylos. She was obliged. She was cursed by compulsion to do so. With a frustrated huff, Xylos retracted her ethereal form slightly, her wings fluttering in irritation. Fine. Fine, you stubborn, oddly persuasive mortal. Reincarnation it is. But know this, your journey will be longer, more arduous, without my direct intervention. She then made a swift, almost aggressive gesture, as if casting Joel down, preparing him as a summoned being in her plane, though he was now a human in physical form ready to be sent to Viridia. Joel, sensing the slight shift in her demeanor, pushed his advantage one last time. And goddess, if I may humbly suggest one final detail to truly perfect this glorious automated process, for those who choose reincarnation, like this humble servant, perhaps they should also be able to choose a family to live with, just as others will after me, or indeed, those who have gone before me. He projected a refined version of the family selection interface he'd been working on. Xylos glared, pouting her magnificent lips, red as a rose, like a wife whose husband had forgotten their anniversary. A long, exasperated sigh escaped her. Another demand. But, he's so useful. And he praises so well. A fleeting, happy thought, a tiny flicker of satisfaction, crossed her internal landscape. It was accompanied by a sudden, jarring realization. That kiss. His thoughts. He was thinking of dirty thoughts with me. And I agreed. Gods, can I get pregnant like this? A wave of trepidation, a primal fear of divine conception, momentarily eclipsed her irritation. The thought of Joel not leaving immediately, of perhaps spending a few more years in her presence, brought a perverse sense of relief to Xylos. Joel, too, felt a strange calm, realizing his gambit to avoid immediate departure had worked, and he was momentarily safe from her unpredictable berserk state. He subtly enhanced the wait time on the family selection parameters. Just then, a clear, chiming alert notification flashed across the SULAD 1000 CE. Family match found. Joel's heart, now a human heart, plummeted. Already? He glanced at Xylos, who looked equally surprised, and a wave of genuine relief washed over him that he wasn't going to have to make up more excuses. Ah! Goddess Xylos! Joel exclaimed, quickly bowing his head, a mix of genuine regret and feigned duty in his voice. It appears your divine wisdom has already found the perfect vessel. My time to depart is at hand. This humble soul must fulfill your glorious purpose in Viridia. He took a step towards the summoning platform. Xylos's beautiful face, for a split second, struggled to maintain its composure. She waved a hand at him, a gesture that tried to be dismissive but carried a hint of reluctant farewell. She was compelled. Anito, the god of compliance, was indeed staring down at her, a palpable, steely gaze from across the void. Xylos could feel the pressure. Go then, little soul, she managed to say, her voice a strained melody. Go and bring glory to my name. Before Joel stepped fully onto the shimmering platform, he glanced at the holographic display of his chosen family's details. The surname was clearly visible, Manhwa. As the platform began its descent, the light around Joel intensifying, the angry goddess Xylos, her beautiful features contorted in a mix of fury and grudging admiration, mumbled under her breath, her voice barely a whisper behind him. You do not want a gift, eh, little soul? How about having all of these? There. Take them all. With a frustrated wave of her hand, she furiously activated every single package, every single gift Joel had configured, pouring them into his departing essence. Happy life, Ezekiel Manhwa. The peculiarities of divine conception. In the grand tapestry of creation, where Rosh reigned supreme as the ultimate consciousness, the act of a lesser god producing offspring was a peculiar and often unpredictable affair. Unlike mortals, divine beings did not require physical coitus to conceive. While it was certainly an option they could engage in, a playful mimicry of their mortal creations, conception most often occurred through a far more ethereal process. A mere thought, a shared projection of desire, an imaginative agreement between two divine parties, these were often sufficient. The very essence of two gods intertwining in thought, a mutual yearning to bring forth a new being, could seed life. It was a merging of wills and essences, a cosmic dance of intention. However, this method, elegant as it was, held its own unique pitfalls. Unlike humans, who could mentally explore desires without immediate consequence, a momentary lapse, a brief but potent agreement in thought or imagination, could inadvertently lead to conception. The divine mind, being immensely powerful, blurred the lines between intent and manifestation. A fleeting yes in the mind, a shared moment of profound imaginative connection, was enough. There was no pulling back from a divine thought. Little did Xylos, the vain goddess of Viridia, truly comprehend the full implications of her interaction with Joel. When his lips met her hand, she had felt a jolt, an electric sensation unlike any she had known. She had, in that brief moment, experienced the raw, unfiltered surge of human desire, amplified 1,000-fold by Joel's peculiar nature. Unknown to Xylos, Joel, having spent what felt like thousands of years under Rosh's tutelage in a realm where thoughts were reality, possessed an extraordinarily potent imagination and projection ability. While he had learned to meticulously shield his thoughts from other gods, that moment with Xylos was a relapse, a brief failure to completely suppress his powerful, human imagination. The complement, the touch, the fleeting attraction, combined with his suppressed earthly desires, had manifested not just as words, but as a potent, thought form of intimacy. Xylos, in her blissful arrogance, had reveled in his praise, accepting the raw energy it produced. But she had also, in that unguarded moment, unknowingly agreed in thought to the powerful, albeit fleeting, imaginative projection from Joel. She had desired the experience of being worshipped in such an intimate, human way, and that desire had met Joel's unshielded, vivid thought. At that exact moment, the seed of a new being was formed. Xylos, in her very human-like experience of the kiss, had unwittingly participated in an act of divine conception. A chilling realization, a wave of trepidation, swept over her. Gods could get pregnant, even like this. The thought of bearing a child from such a peculiar, unintended union was both horrifying and strangely intriguing. The conception for divine beings in this particular universe varied. However, in this specific instance, with Joel in a human form in the heavens, a state akin to becoming a demigod or pseudo-god being, combined with a divine being like Xylos, the gestation would be unique. Whereas humans on Joel's original planet Earth are born after approximately 9 months, here, Joel's pseudo-divine state multiplied that by 3 times 9 is equal to 27. Furthermore, 1 month in Viridia is equivalent to 3 years in Xylos's domain. This meant that for Xylos, her offspring would take an equivalent of 27 years for the birth to occur. But we will see how this unfolds in the next several chapters. Joel, still in his physical human form, ostensibly ready to be sent to Viridia as a summoned being, while a reincarnated one now, remained oblivious to the profound cosmic irony he had just instigated. For Xylos, the fleeting relief that he might not leave yet was now tinged with a new, unsettling anxiety. But this is a story for another time. The birth of Isekay Manoy. Despite the celestial calculation of a 27-year divine gestation, it did not take a full month in Xylos's domain for Joel to be born in Viridia. Back in her opulent palace, Xylos was already experiencing the unsettling, alien sensations of a pregnant woman's cravings, a sudden, inexplicable longing for something intensely sour, or then a dizzying desire for overpowering sweetness. She, the goddess of Viridia, had no frame of reference for these inexplicable urges, as such trivialities did not occur in her world. She was utterly bewildered. Meanwhile, on the fertile plains of Viridia, far from Xylos's bewildered divine cravings, the world prepared for a new arrival. In the sun-drenched, sprawling estate of the Manoy family, nestled amidst rolling hills and vast, whispering farmlands in the region of Ethelgard, the air was thick with anticipation. Lord Riel Manhue, a man of formidable presence with a strong jaw and keen, intelligent eyes, paced nervously in the outer chambers of his manor. His wife, Lady Ilara Manhue, a woman of quiet strength and radiant beauty, was deep in labor. Within the birthing chamber, illuminated by soft glow globes and the watchful presence of ancestral portraits, 3 skilled midwives worked with practiced efficiency. Matron Lyra, her hands gnarled by years of ushering life into the world, gently encouraged Lady Ilara. Her apprentices, the young and eager Serafina and the more seasoned, stoic Kaelin, assisted with calm precision, preparing warm cloths and herbal infusions. The labor was long, a testament to the powerful essence being born into the world. Hours stretched into a full day, the Manhue Manor abuzz with hushed whispers and hopeful prayers. Lord Riel's elder brother, Baron Gareth Manhue, a gruff but kind man, kept a watchful eye on his pacing sibling, while their cousin, the usually boisterous Lady Isolde Manhue, wrung her hands in uncharacteristic silence. Even the family's ancient retainer, Old Master Theron, stood by, his wizened face etched with anticipation. Finally, as dawn painted the eastern sky with hues of rose and gold, a cry, impossibly loud and vibrant, pierced the morning air. "A boy, my lord!" Matron Lyra's voice, weary but triumphant, rang out. Lord Riel burst into the chamber, his eyes immediately finding his wife, exhausted but radiant, and then the tiny, squalling bundle in Matron Lyra's arms. The babe had a shock of dark hair, and as he opened his eyes, Riel gasped. They were a startling, vibrant gold, utterly unlike any Manhue eyes he had ever seen. The midwives cleaned and swaddled the infant, presenting him to his parents. Lady Ilara, her voice hoarse, whispered, "He is magnificent, Riel. What shall we name him?" Lord Riel gazed down at his son, the golden eyes staring back at him with an uncanny depth. A name, one he had never considered before, echoed in his mind. It felt ancient, powerful, yet oddly familiar. Perhaps a whisper from some forgotten ancestral memory, or a divine inspiration. "Ezekiel," Lord Riel announced, his voice firm, resonating with a sudden, profound certainty. "His name shall be Ezekiel Manhue. He shall be a testament to the dawn, a beacon of strength, for he possesses a spirit of pure gold." And thus, Joel, the programmer from Earth, reincarnated into Viridia, now named Ezekiel Manhue, began his new life, a tiny bundle of cosmic chaos and unprecedented power, utterly oblivious to the divine drama he had just left behind, and the unexpected pregnancy of a very vain goddess.